If you've ever felt like no matter what you say, no matter how carefully you choose your words, some women just don't respond the way you expect, then stay with me, because what I'm about to show you will completely change how you understand attraction, especially with mature women. Hello, gentlemen. I'm Dr. Elena Hart, and over the years I've seen something most men miss entirely. When a woman has lived, experienced, and been through enough, words stop being impressive. She's heard it all. Compliments, charm, promises, they blur together. They don't move her anymore. But something else does, and it's far more powerful than anything you can say. It's how you touch. Now, before you misunderstand this, I'm not talking about random physical contact or awkward, forced gestures. I'm talking about intentional, subtle, psychologically powerful touch that communicates safety, confidence, presence, and emotional depth, without a single word. Because here's the truth, connection at that level is not verbal, it's neurological. There was research where strangers were asked to communicate emotions using only touch, no words, no facial expressions, nothing else. And incredibly, people were able to correctly identify feelings like affection, compassion, even gratitude, with accuracy close to 80%. Think about that for a second. Your words will never be that precise. So if you've ever wondered why some men seem to create deep emotional connection effortlessly, while others say all the right things and still get nowhere, this is why. It's not about what they say, it's about what they transmit. And when it comes to a mature woman, a woman who knows exactly what she wants, who has seen enough to recognize authenticity instantly, this becomes even more important. So let's talk about the 4 touches that quietly but powerfully change how she feels about you. The first one is something most men think they understand, but almost always get wrong: the lower back touch. Now, on the surface, it seems simple, guiding her through a doorway, standing beside her in a crowded space, your hand resting lightly on the small of her back. But what most men don't realize is that this area is incredibly sensitive, neurologically connected to emotional processing centers in the brain. And the way you touch matters more than the touch itself. If it's quick, it feels dismissive. If it's forceful, it feels controlling. But if it's slow, steady, warm, with just enough presence to say, "I'm here with you," something changes. Her body reads it as safety, not dominance, not neediness, stability. And for a woman who has spent years being independent, handling everything on her own, that moment of quiet support hits deeper than anything you could ever say. It's not about control, it's about presence. Now, the second touch is even more overlooked, but in many ways, even more powerful. The dual handhold. This is not casual handholding. This is when you take her hand and then gently wrap your other hand around it. Both of your hands, holding one of hers. And you do this in moments that matter, when she's speaking, when she's opening up, when there's silence between you. What this does neurologically is something called bilateral stimulation. It creates a sense of complete attention. Your body is saying, "I'm fully here, not partially, not distracted, fully." And for a mature woman, this is rare, because she's used to men who are physically present, but mentally somewhere else. When you give her that level of undivided presence, her mind immediately registers something different, not louder, not more impressive, just real. And once she feels that difference, it becomes very hard to replace. Now, the third touch, this one is on another level entirely. The sustained embrace, not a quick hug, not the polite social squeeze, a real embrace, both arms, full contact, no rushing, and here's the key, duration matters. When an embrace lasts long enough, around 20 seconds, it triggers a measurable biological shift. Stress hormones decrease, bonding hormones increase, her body literally relaxes. But beyond the science, there's something deeper happening, because by the time a woman reaches a certain point in life, She has carried things alone: stress, pain, responsibility, disappointment. She's learned to hold herself together even when no one else does. So when you hold her and you don't rush it, you don't pull away, you give her something she rarely experiences: relief. Not excitement, relief. Relief from always being strong. And when a man becomes the place where a woman can finally soften, that's when connection turns into something much deeper. Now, the fourth touch is the most subtle and possibly the most powerful: the slow, rhythmic thumb movement. This happens when you're already holding her hand, or your hand is resting on her arm, shoulder, or leg, and without making it obvious, your thumb gently moves, slowly, back and forth. It's almost unconscious, but her body notices because there are specific nerve fibers designed to respond to this kind of slow, gentle touch, and they're directly connected to the parts of the brain responsible for emotional bonding. So what happens is this: she starts feeling closer to you, without knowing why. And because it feels natural, not forced, not calculated, her mind interprets it as genuine, effortless care. And that's what makes it so powerful. Not the gesture itself, but the feeling that it's who you are, not something you're trying to do. And that's the difference mature women are constantly scanning for: authenticity. Now here's something you need to understand before you walk away from this. None of this works without awareness. And more importantly, none of it works without consent and comfort. A mature woman doesn't respond to touch because it's technically correct. She responds because it feels right, in the moment, with the person. So if there's no mutual comfort, no emotional openness, forcing any of this will do the opposite of what you want. But when the connection is there, even slightly, these small, intentional moments of touch become the bridge between attraction and emotional investment. Because at the end of the day, you don't reach a woman like that through words. You reach her through how she feels in your presence. And when your presence communicates calm, safety, and genuine attention, you don't just get her interest. You get something much rarer. You get her trust. And once a mature woman decides you feel like trust, you stop being just another man in her life, and you become someone she doesn't want to lose.